Hey, before you watch this thing, hit subscribe, would you?
So I have panic disorder too. I would have panic attacks. Like I've had a couple different times in my life where I was having like daily or multiple daily panic attacks. And sometimes I hear people say panic attacks in a way that they're like,
It's
man, I had a panic attack.
I have OCD, but I just like things to look nice.
Right. Like a panic attack. When I had panic attacks, I mean like literally on the floor, like shaking, like, and couldn't breathe and things were like closed, and that would happen like daily. And I really couldn't get anything done. I couldn't write anything or no new material or whatever. And for a long time I was self-medicated with alcohol. I was a fucking drunk, just like
all day.
Not every day, all day, but I love day drinking, and there was times where I would drink in the morning, and I would get blackout drunk. I mean, I've sort of famously shit in a girl's shoe one time, and
he's famous for it.
Well, I don't want to say famously, but I've talked about it on multiple podcasts. Yeah. But I fucking defecated in a woman's shoe and fell through a table.
Thanks for cleaning it up.
And I cleaned it up in real life too with a sock. And then I would drive drunk and break shit. I was a big vandal-y guy. I would take street signs and like.
Do you know why you were like that? Without getting too specific, was it all sort of like you liked inducing chaos, or what was it? Anger?
I think I had a lot of anger. I think a lot of it too is like the family stuff. I feel like I wasn't getting recognized by my parents or family or love life or whatever, or also the frustration of not being who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a filmmaker and a comedian and all these things, and I just wasn't able to do it. And so I fucking like hated myself for being in the way of my own success. And I think I would get drunk and be like, and just start breaking things.
How long ago was that?
Almost like 20 years ago now, which is crazy. I feel like I'm old. But yeah, 2004, 5, 6 were like, those were like when I was really having panic and drinking. But I drank till 2012. So
what do you think of it now?
I mean, now I feel good. I feel grateful.
Because that thing about like my talent isn't developed enough to get what I want.
Right.
I think that's frustrating and can be animating. I think it's like it can make you sort of work harder.
I don't know. I felt like, I guess I felt like I was wasting talent, which I still feel that way a lot of the times now. And I look back on like as an athlete, as a kid, like I was good at baseball and basketball, and I ran like cross country, and I could have been so much better. I just didn't believe in myself or have any confidence. Same with comedy and same with relationships. Like I was like, oh, if I had realized, you wish you could just go back and do it all over again, then you have that feeling of course you can't.
Yeah.
But I had no confidence and no guidance. I think I had a lot of anger that my parents or people weren't properly guiding me and being like, that doesn't matter, or you're better than this person.
What was the bottom?
Well, shitting in a girl's shoe,
sure.
And then fly. I mean, that story, I was going to do the Seattle comedy competition, which is a month long. And I was leaving the next day for a month, and I went out and fucking blacked out and was like basically on a date with a girl. I was trying to like kind of hook up with this girl, and I ended up shitting in her shoe and falling through her living room table and pissing on her rug, and then missed my flight and had to fly across the country with like shit on my leg. It was really, really bad. And that was
Do you remember your blackout?
I don't remember the shitting in her shoe, but I remember the next morning and stuff. And that was
when you came to, what did you think was happening?
When I first came to, the first thing that happened was I had to piss so bad, and I was like, I literally had this thought of like, I got to piss, because if I piss, I'm going to piss my pants, and that's going to be really embarrassing. And then
you were at the girl's house?
Yes, and nobody was home. It was like 10 in the morning. That's how hard we were. Like they were gone. They had gone to work.
Yeah.
And I remember like urinating for like 8 minutes. It was like one of those pisses, and being like, I don't know where anything is. I kind of remember going back to their house. And I was drinking with Nate that night, ironically. And then I came back into the bedroom that I'd been sleeping in, and I saw like footprints of shit, and like their living room table had been like Chris Farley'd. It was all fucking like broken. And I remember having the thought like, that was definitely me. I had this feeling of like something went wrong, and it's me for sure.
Yeah.
And then there was like I
know this.
There was like a shit in her sneaker, and there was a big piss stain. And Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I wanted to kill myself. I was like, this is horrible.
You're
And
doing a pilot called CSI Blackout,
it was,
where it's where you come to and you have to figure out who did this, and it's always you.
That's not bad.
No, it's not a bad idea.
That's a good idea. But yeah, it was bad. And I remember, the really funny thing that happened was I texted the girls, and because it was 2 girls that lived together, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I want to kill myself. This is horrible. And they were like, don't worry. It's fine. We think it's funny. And I remember thinking, like, these girls fucking party. That's crazy. And then I flew to Seattle. My phone was on like airplane mode. When I landed, it was now nighttime in New York, and they were like, "Oh my God, we had no idea how bad this was." This is
This is not
and
cool.
I was like, "That's more like it." So that was like a bottom. But that night, I thought, like, well, I'm not going to stop drinking, so I might as well drink tonight. So I kept drinking for like another 2 years. But after that, I felt like this is truly out of control.
That was like, this should be my bottom.
Yeah, it should have been.
Like, I definitely need to quit. You did like the 25th hour, but it was 2 years.
Yeah,
Of like, I'm on my way out, but
well, from then on, it was like, let me try to curb and I would try to like count drink. And I talked to a friend who happens to be a comedian and alcoholic in recovery, and he said, well, why don't you try to see if you can keep it to 6 or less, which is a lot of drinks.
yeah,
Like some would say, if you drank 6 drinks a night, you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, 6, so that's not bad. And then I would write in the calendar 5. I had 4 tonight, and then I still couldn't do that. I was like, oh shit, I went to 8 tonight, and then I would try.
and it was just you couldn't get enough.
Yeah, well, you'd go out and it would be like this person's drinking. You know how it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I have the night off, so I'll drink, or I got
Yeah.
a show, so I'll drink, and then it's free drinks on the road. And then I was opening for DePaulo at that time, and Nick was like, you're part of his. I'm not blaming Nick. I love Nick, but he'd be like, dude, he's like, you're a fucking real comic. You're always boozing. It's hilarious, and I'd be like, yeah, that's. And I had that romanticism of alcohol, like Tom Waits and fucking
Bukowski,
you know. And I thought there was something.
It's like by the way, it's like the least impressive thing in the world to me. It's like, I get drunk and do a thing. Like, oh, cool. Like golf.
Right. No, I literally had like that feeling of like I'm this tortured artist thing.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's like, oh, it just sucks. I'm just failing.
Yeah.
I suck.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the thing well. But anyway, so then it just kept going on, and then my actual like last time, or one of the last times drinking, it was 2012. It was I got sober right after Christmas, and I was like really looking forward to going home for Christmas, and I was like, this will be great. I'll get a break, and
I'll go home. No one will recognize me for who I am. I can't wait.
and then I went, and like every Christmas gift I got was booze. Like 100% of the things I got were booze. And so I was like, oh, this is like my personality. This is like who I am now, is I'm the drunk guy. And then my brother-in-law, his father had just died, and I was like making jokes about it. I was like, yeah, well, you're dead dad, thinking that was like, I was like that guy. And he was like, what are you doing? This like sucks. And I remember him looking like really upset. And I was like, I hate myself. I'm horrible.
Were you drunk when doing it?
Yeah. I was like,
got it,
that's funny.
Got it. I got a good idea for a bit.
Yeah, well, I thought like, oh, that's edgy and fun.
Yeah.
And so I just had like a misunderstanding of like what was like cool or whatever. And so yeah, that was it. And I opened for Gary Gulman New Year's Eve week in Philadelphia, and I was talking to him, and he's not a sober guy, but he doesn't really drink. And he was like, I remember thinking I was like, I should get sober, and he was kind of guiding me. And I was like, what happens though? Wait, hold on. I'm like, what if I'm at a party and like I hate everybody there? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, not drink? And then he was like, you go home.
Yeah.
And it was like a moment of clarity of like, oh right, I don't have to just be in places I don't like people. I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just like,
Let me write this down.
I was like, I'm gonna get sober, and then that was it. So that like all the success I've had in comedy has come after that.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, it's the idea of getting drunk and doing something is like the goofiest fucking.
Well, you realize, yeah, most really successful comedians don't drink. There's very few.
Yeah. There's a few, but not. Yeah. Just hit it. Don't you want me to feel good? Subscribe.